Hello, I'm Sky Matsuhashi, founder of SmartPokerStudy.com, the place for poker players who are always striving to be better today than they were yesterday. Poker people, in episode 60, I concluded my 4-part series on using a HUD in Poker Tracker 4 by discussing percentage form to understand the stats and color coding your HUD for quick reference. Hey, poker people, thanks for tuning in, thanks for telling your friends, and thank you for spreading the word, because that's the only way we gonna blow up. And of course, there's Audible. Audiobooks are great for helping you get through those menial tasks in life, like cooking din din, taking the dog for a walk, or of course, commuting. Audible has over 180,000 titles from leading audiobook producers. My listeners get a free trial to Audible and an audiobook of their choice when they sign up through my Audible affiliate at audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy. They even have The Mental Game of Poker on audiobook. Oh, and, I just finished listening to Scarecrow Returns by Matthew Riley. This is the 3rd time I've finished this book, and the first 2 times were actually reading it, the physical hardcover copy. But this time I enjoyed it through my ear holes. It's a great book, great author, great narration, and I just freaking loved it. If you're into action and reading books that pace like the biggest action blockbuster movies, go get yourself some Matthew Riley. Whether he's writing about Shane Schofield, Jack West Jr., a deadly alien battle in a New York library, or a chess tournament in the 1500s, your socks will be blown clear off them feet. And so now, we've done it. We completed the first week of May 2016, and what a week! The weather stayed cool. We actually had rain in Fresno. I played some poker, got some studying in, and even had a killer interview with someone that I know you want to hear from. I'll let you in on the secret at the end of this episode. Well, it's another Friday, end of the week, so let's get some questions answered. We've got 4 of them lined up today, and remember, everything I discuss here will be in the show notes for this episode, which you can find and follow along at smartpokerstudy.com/pod61. So the first question today comes from Lieutenant John Rico.
What mysteries will the brain bug reveal? Federal scientists are working around the clock to probe its secrets. Once we understand the bug, we will defeat it. We have the ships. We have the weapons. We need soldiers. Soldiers like Lieutenant Stack Lumbreezer.
We're with the target area now, Captain.
And Captain Carmen Ibanez.
This is the captain speaking. All personnel prepare for drop.
Soldiers like Private Ace Levy and Lieutenant John Rico.
Come on, you ape! You want to live forever!
Sir! No, sir! I don't want to live forever! I just want to splatter some bugs, sir! Sign me up! Wow, Starship Troopers, that is a perfect Mother's Day movie. I bet it's playing all day on TBS or something, like they do with A Christmas Story. Okay, this next question comes from Firaga. He says, "Greetings, Sky. I am currently building a bankroll on America's Card Room starting at 2 NL. That's 1 cent, 2 cent for everybody out there. I have made great improvements and have plans in place for fixing many of my leaks, but I'm struggling with a plan of attack for this one. I find that when a villain does something completely unexpected, for example, 3-bet shoving 200 big blinds or showing down a hand I hadn't thought of in their range, I think about it for the rest of the session and even for days afterwards. I try to take the get things done approach and mark the hand for review, but that doesn't stop this compulsive obsessing. I plan on reading The Mental Game of Poker over the next month. Is there anything else you think I could do? Thank you very much for doing what you do, Firaga." Well, thank you so much, Firaga, for this question. And you didn't say it in the email, but you did leave a killer review for the show in iTunes that I recently read maybe 3 podcast episodes ago. I can't remember, or can't exactly remember, but thank you very much for that review, Firaga. So the fact that you know this is a problem of yours is, first off, it's a very good thing. Lots of people never realize that focusing on a beat or a big lost pot can adversely affect the rest of your session or even future sessions. You need to to have a plan in place for how to deal with this when it happens in order to stop that post-hand obsessing that you do. Your idea of marking the hand for a later review is a good start, and reading The Mental Game of Poker should help as well. And here are the steps that I would recommend for dealing with this post-surprise tilt. Steps 1 through 3 are a must. You've got to do these things. Steps 4 through 6 are if you can't get beyond the issue with the first 3 steps.
Number 1.
Use affirmations and logic statements. So I want you to create an affirmation or a logic statement card that you can attach to your computer or keep it in front of you that has one phrase on it that you refer to pre-session and when something like this happens. Here are some suggested phrases. I'm in control of my emotions and I'm choosing to be happy, relaxed, calm, peaceful right now. Another one is, neither Ivy nor Negranu would beat themselves up over this, so I won't either. Another one is, there's no explaining some crazy players, just mark it for review, make a note on the player, and move on. And the last one might be, fish equals profit. I'm thankful they play the way they do.
Number 2.
Mark the hand for later review. So you've already mentioned this, but it's something you've got to do. But I would add some intentionality to it. When you do something with a real purpose in mind, it makes it more likely to aid with the issue that you're facing. So when you mark the hand, say to yourself something like, I'm marking now for later review so I can continue in the session like it never happened. And in Poker Tracker 4, you can actually create your own hand tags. I would make a special tag for these situations. Something like, quote-unquote, tilt inducer, or, keeping calm. Something to remind you why you're marking it as you do so.
Number 3.
Make a note. Someone just surprised you with their actions or what they showed down, so take a note on it for future situations.
Number 4.
Focus elsewhere. Throw all of your focus on another hand at another table, whether you're involved in the hand or not. Observe all the action, range the players, and try to figure out what they're doing. Putting your focus elsewhere will help to take your mind off the thing that just happened. After this hand, move right on to the next on a different table with different opponents.
Number 5.
Take a break. If the emotions start to overwhelm you, just sit out of all the tables and step completely away for maybe 5 minutes or so. Do some push-ups, read an article, listen to your favorite songs, whatever, to take your mind away from poker. Return to the tables when you are ready.
Number 6.
Get away from the villain. So leave the table where the beat happened and all the other tables where that same player is at. If you don't see his name or see him for the rest of the session, great. That might help you get beyond this tilt-inducing problem. And if these 6 steps don't help, then I guess step 7 is just ending the session. You'd want to do that before you go on tilt and lose 1 or 2 or 3 more buy-ins, But hopefully you won't have to do that, and the more you practice not tilting, the better you'll get at it. Alrighty, thanks again for that question, Firaga. So question 3 here, it comes to us from Sen. Hi Sky, do you provide any material on playing poker live? Also, can you provide some feedback regarding the beginning of your session? Would you recommend playing tight like 10% of starting hands, or lag like 45%, or play your traditional tag approach? I play live 1-2 only and have been affected by variance, and I think that I get into a lot of marginal spots at the start and lose a flip and play terribly afterwards. I find that I'm getting check raised a lot after being the pre-flop raiser, even though I have top pair, top kicker. I raised with ace queen off, flopped queen 5-3 rainbow, gets checked to me, I bet and get check raised. What do I do in these spots? Call and validate the turn, or fold on the flop because my opponents are raising with 2 pair or better? Any thoughts would be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, those are actually some really juicy questions, Sen. Thank you very much. So first off, regarding live poker, I don't teach anything specific to live poker, but in my experience, everything I learn and use online is applicable to live. One of the great things about playing online is that you can practice plays and put yourself into spots much more cheaply and frequently than live. If, for example, your 3-bet game is terrible, you can play some 5NL or 10NL tables, 3-bet every playable hand, and test out your post-flop skills in 3-bet spots. You can put yourself into 30 or 40 3-bet pots every single hour, which is much better practice than trying to do this live. And regarding the second part of your question there, I do like the idea of playing a little snug when you know absolutely nobody at the table, at least for the first few rounds. And I don't want you to think of this as playing nitty. You know, I'm going to knit down and play only 10%. Don't think of it that way. I want you to treat it more like recon. It gives you a chance to accumulate some stats and focus on learning what you can from your opponents, from their plays and from their showdowns. You can do the same thing when playing live as well. They don't know you either, so starting off snug allows you to capitalize on the players that pay attention to you and will fold to your increased aggression a few rounds in. But if you know a lot of the players there, you could just dive right into your normal game and, whatever style that is, whether you're lag or tag or knit, that's totally up to you. And regarding getting check raised, you've got to know what type of opponent you're up against. In the example you gave, you need to ask yourself a few questions. So the first question is, what type of player are you up against? Passive players probably only check raise with strong hands because they're building a pot, but aggressive players can check raise just about anything, so know who you're up against. Another question is, what hands can he be calling pre-flop that are check raising for value? Check raising builds the pot and it's often for value, so what did he have pre-flop that hit this flop really well? In the example that you discussed, Queen 5-3 Rainbow, if he's capable of calling pre-flop with Queen 5, Queen 3, or 5-3, sure, they have you beat and he's check raising for value. But how many players really call with those hands, and how often are you going to encounter something like that on a Queen 5-3 flop? If he's capable of calling pocket fives, pocket threes, or pocket queens, then he's going for value. But on this dry board, and really it is a super dry board, Queen 5-3, he has nothing to worry about. It's not like you can turn many miracle cards to beat his set. He'll probably just check call you more often to give you some rope to hang yourself with on the turn. Some players are also capable of calling with King Queen, Queen Jack, Queen 10 pre-flop, and can throw in the check raise with the top pair weaker kicker. If this is the case, if you suspect that your opponent can do this, then you can bet and then 3-bet and get lots of value from his weaker top pair hands. Or he'll just ditch a lot of cards that just whiffed and was bluffing you. And also, if he's capable of check raising with an underpair, an underpair above the fives, like sixes through jacks, then you'll want to 3-bet here to get extra value, or just call his check raise to let him donk the next street, and then you can decide based on sizing whether to call, raise, or fold on the turn. So the big thing really to do in these kinds of spots is put him on a preflop range that fits his actions. In this instance, he just called your raise, so you can probably take queens or better out of his range, because he likely would have 3-bet with those. The only hands that beat you right now are pocket fives and pocket threes. Everything else, from top pair to under pairs to ace high hands, you are currently beating. So if he's capable of bluffing, then there's no way you're folding on the flop to his check raise. If he's only doing this for value, like maybe he's a super fit or fold knit, then folding could be in order, but it's probably just way too nitty of a play. You can't automatically put someone on a set just because they check raise you, unless you have thousands of hands on the guy and you've seen him check raise maybe 20 times and each time he check raised, it was a set. If that's the case, if you have such a good read on your opponent, sure, go ahead and ditch the hand. But that is just super unlikely. People check raise with junk and with value and everything in between, just to blow you off a hand quite often too. So you need to assess the player type that you're up against, his range, the board, and what he would realistically make the pre-flop play and the post-flop play with. Alrighty, have fun, and I'll catch you later, Sen. I know you'd like to play online poker in the US or wherever you are, and America's Card Room is the site to play at. With lots of tourneys, cash games galore, 27% rakeback, and a 100% first deposit bonus of up to 1,000 bones, it can't be beat. Just use offer code SPSPOD in all caps. Enter the code, create your account, make your first deposit, then email me your newly minted ACR screen name and I'll send you a special gift. And soon we'll be holding weekly free rolls exclusive to my listeners, so get in on the action and open your own America's Card Room account today by clicking the banner in this episode's show notes or go to smartpokerstudy.com/ACR for more details and to get 27% rake back on America's Card Room by using my offer code SPSPOD. Okay, today's final question comes from Sam. Hi, Sky. Thanks for the pod. You said before you went to the WSOP. Are you going again this year? If so, what events will you play? Keep it up, Sam. Nice. Thanks for the question, Sam. Actually, I've held onto this email for quite a while because I wasn't sure of my plans for the World Series of Poker this year. But I just finalized them, and yes, I'll be there for the Colossus. This year, it's a 4-day, 565 buy-in bracelet event. There is a $7 million guarantee on it this year, which is actually, I think, $2 million above last year's $5 million guarantee. I think it was $5 million last year. And there's actually a whole lot of starting flights. There's 6 flights in total. I'll be playing in the 10 a.m. flight on Saturday the 4th, and I've already pre-registered and paid, so all I have to do is go to the Rotunda to collect my entry card. And last year, this tournament, Colossus Colossus 1, had an incredible over 22,000 players. It was amazing. It was the biggest live event ever, and I think this year it will be even bigger. First place prize is guaranteed $1 million as well. And one really cool thing that they're doing is each flight, and like I said, there's 6 flights total, each flight will play into the money. So if you make it to the end of the night, after, I think it's 18 rounds at 30 minutes a round. I think it's something like that. If you make it to day 2, you've already cashed, which is freaking killer. I love that. You don't have to wait till later in day 2 or mid day 3 to actually cash the money. And I'm super looking forward to it, and I hope to see some of you there. I'm actually thinking about offering some listener free rolls to any winnings I may make. Maybe offering like 1% of my winnings to a few lucky newsletter subscribers, something like that. But I'll keep you posted. So thanks again for the question, Sam, and keep them coming. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. Send your questions my way. I'm only able to do these Q&As if you are sending them in, so keep them flowing. Now it's your turn to take action and do something positive for your poker game.
Now get it on.
So thank you so much for listening today, and thanks again to Lieutenant John, Rico, Jeff, Sen, and Sam for sending me those killer questions. If you're not already there, head over to the show notes page for everything discussed today at smartpokerstudy.com/pod61. And I got a little nice comment that I received. This is from Firaga. After I replied to the question from today, he said, "Thanks again for the immediate reply. Also, thank you for your recommendation of Ready Player One. It has instantly become my favorite reads, or one of my favorite reads of the last few years, and I'm now desperate for another book like it. I'm sure other listeners feel the exact same way, so please keep the recommendations coming." Well, that is super cool, Firaga, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed that book. Ernest Cline's most recent book, it's called Armada. It's quite a bit like Ready Player One, so I'd recommend that one as well. I wonder if it's on Audible. Alrighty, poker people, be sure to come back for Tuesday's podcast, where I've got a special interview with Split Suit. Thrilling, I know! Holy cow, how did you line that up, Sky? I don't know, Sky. Blind luck, I suppose? So everybody, come back on Tuesday for that killer interview. Of course, word of mouth is the best advertising, and I thank you for sharing this show with other poker people. It only grows with your help, so I'm asking you to share it with someone who will get value from it just as you do. Have them go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, or their favorite podcasting app, or the show notes even, to begin their journey. And don't forget to visit audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy for your free 30-day trial to Audible and a free audiobook of your choice. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.